Okay. All right. So this is Shamim Yusuf. I'm from India and I'm living in UAE, Sharjah at the moment. Been with KS, I think, for about 4, 5 years now. Earth time, I guess. So yeah, and I think the Elezen frequency spoke to me the most, apart from the shift masters. And then, of course, the latest one, the Nomi, um, whatever the GT window, that part of the work really spoke out to me. But I've been always looking for finding a parallel with something from this reality and the KS because I felt like there was a big gap between what I was exploring and what people were used to. And this, when I came to this point of healing, I've already done a significant amount of emotional work and physical, mental work, and even somatic work. I released a lot of trauma with EMDR and EFT and all of that. So I think I've come down to working the physical aspect, and that's when I hit upon the nervous system. I felt that would be the core of it, irrespective of what trauma you have. Even to process your trauma, you need to have a certain amount of a bandwidth, a window of tolerance to process your trauma. And interestingly, when I started working with this and I started suggesting to people in my reality, friends, family, cousins whom I haven't been in touch with probably 7, 8 years, everybody seems to be interested. And we're kind of exploring this book. And this book specifically speaks about co-regulation and communityhood as a very important part of health, which is also which I believe, which is what I was lacking ever since a lot of this information became accessible to me. I felt I was isolated from my world. So yes, this seems to be a place where I'm able to fit right in and explore stuff. And I do feel there are some parallels with KS, and I'm still processing that. So I'm hoping to process that with you guys.
Yeah,
Would that be it?
me and Lewis are also processing it. We're just on the first chapter, and it's already popping up like how many millions of years ago that this research was
Yeah.
based off of this fish, right? Do you know much about that fish that it's talking about? And we could give some
No.
context here as well. So I'm going to just scroll through here. I've got it up on the screen.
Okay.
And let me get to this part because it started in, you were suggesting us just to read chapter 1, and me and Lewis
Yes.
finished that, and then I just kind of peeked into
Okay.
chapter 2, and it answered one of my questions of where they're getting the research from. Because, well, actually, let me backtrack just a little bit because I'm kind of jumping ahead. This chart right here really stood out to both me and Lewis. Let me know if you can you see that okay, Lewis? Are you checking the screen? I want to make sure that that's visible for everybody. So it says ventral, sympathetic, and dorsal. And these are like the three like evolutions kind of this vagus nerve, if I'm understanding that correctly. Is that right? And it's all kind of compiled into the vagus nerve that we currently have. It didn't evolve out of this, but we still carry some of these tendencies, obviously, that's in the nerve. Am I explaining that correctly?
I'm sorry, I just missed you for a moment, and I'm just still trying to get the Facebook
Oh,
live.
oh, Lewis can check it. Does it look all right, Lewis? I think Lewis is checking.
It's fine?
I think he's pulling it up here. See, and after reading this, I can feel my vagus nerve like switching gears while we're even talking. Like it's like
I know. This was amazing for me when I started reading, and mostly what it helped was I think it was amazing because I was in a group, and by my second meeting, there was this lady who walked in. She's got like 5 kids, and she's like, "Don't talk to me today. I'm in my dorsal." You know.
wow, that's
And I'm like, okay, you're not so much in your dorsal because you have enough energy to talk. And yeah, like I was telling you, we did a skit because a lot of them are not from the background. They don't read a lot, so we did a little skit in which we had one person representing the ventrovagal and one person representing the dorsal and the sympathetic. And that kind of just drove the point home, so easily for all of us, for me included.
It's just good to have terminology with this. Oh, Lewis, I've got it up on the screen here already.
Yes.
I was just asking if you could see it, so you don't have to adjust the Zoom call.
Now I can see this, yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Just on the Facebook stream is what I was asking, Lewis. For the Zoom call, I'd like for your guys' picture, your camera still to be up on there. Yeah, that's good. Do you see it on the stream, Lewis?
I'm just checking. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
You see? Okay, that's good. All right.
Yeah.
So you guys are already using the terminology. Just say I'm in ventral, I'm in dorsal. You guys are already on it. Yeah. How long have you been doing this book club?
Just about a month, yeah.
A month, okay. And what chapter are you on so far?
We're just doing chapter 2 now.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I was telling you earlier, I already want to suggest this to my daughter's therapist because there's really good awareness in this book that I'm reading just so far right now. But I kind of got a little tied up with my KS filter about histories and stuff when I was seeing the dates on here, like, because it says, let me get to the part here.
So I noticed even the people when they were reading, they also got hung up on the dates. They were like, oh, so because they're like, oh, they're going by the Darwinian evolution.
Yes.
We don't believe that.
Yes.
And I said, okay, for now we'll just skip the dates. Let's see if the nerves speak because it's quite controversial, right? But then, yeah, from the case perspective,
Code convolution. That's the word. Yeah, and that's what me and Lewis were just kind of rattling back and forth. Like, how do these dates line up in the histories from voyagers? Looking at this, and he actually looked them up. Do you have that in your chat, Lewis, in our group chat still? I can pull it up if you don't. He looked it up, or maybe he knows it by memory. But he was saying there are some parallels here. Do you want to expand on it, Lewis? I'll let you talk. Your mic is muted, actually. I don't know if you've been talking the whole time. Sorry.
Oh.
Sorry about that. I've been talking over you the whole time. Sorry. Couldn't hear you.
Okay.
Oh gosh, so we're just kind of going through just a lot of the various kind of histories of stuff. Because I probably said the first thing was kind of talking about the fish. And what was
Yes.
that, about 5 years ago? 500 million years ago? Or was that 5 million years ago or something?
500.
So that would have been the end of the Terran Syrian Wars, I believe. So that would have been within around 375 million years ago. That's when the dinosaurs would have occurred anyway. And the same with the dinosaurs before they actually, well, during the times of the dinosaurs, you had just the regular dinosaurs we have now, but you also had a variation of like Draco reptilian as well, which is quite interesting. That kind of went underground during the mass extinction event. Apparently, they're still there now.
Wow.
So in terms of the things like the fish and things, that's something I'm still trying to kind of work out. Where would they have actually come from?
Right.
Because I mean, obviously we've got the dolphin people and things like that, but I mean,
yes. Well, we've got it all in us, and that's why I love that she points out the reptile evolution that we have and the mammal evolution. And like we're like hybrids with that, right? Like we're considered mammal, but you can't dismiss the reptile hybridization that occurred as well.
and the book didn't there as well? It's like some unconscious. They all seem to think that we actually came from reptiles, which is quite interesting.
Right. And the reptile brain and everything too.
So that
I want
is
to talk
funny
about
because
reptile.
yeah.
Go ahead, Shamim.
No, I said that is funny because even when I went to medical school, this was a common terminology, the reptile brain.
Mm-hmm.
But it just didn't click in the way that it clicked after KS information came in, right? Because the terminology was always there. It wasn't like the animal brain. They would just call it the reptile brain.
So in terms of races, what would this reptile actually be? Would it be more Draco, or would it be more Anu? Hmm. Because I know the Anus were here pretty much warring from 500 million years when by the fall of Terra. They were pretty much already aware of Earth. They started already warring, and we kind of started seeing that at the end of the Seeding 1, which was with the electronic wars. I kind of weirdly, I still have memories of that kind of period. It was very kind of horrific in that sense.
Quite a few KSers do, actually. I've had conversations about that because it was such a traumatic scene in the sky of invasion, right? So it's not a lot of movies kind of go with that and kind of tap on that level of trauma from the electric wars, like Independence Day, for instance, but quite a few other movies. But it's like,
Even talk.
yeah, go ahead.
I guess even in Hinduism as well, they actually, in one of the books, they actually do have a description of flying saucers kind of just flying around
Yeah.
and fighting each other.
Yeah.
It's mental. Surprised it's actually stayed in there, to be honest.
Right. Yeah, so it's that part of our history is still kind of being processed, I think. Like we still feel the shockwave in our cells kind of from some of these events. But yeah, that's kind of where me and Lewis was looking at was the parallels in history with KS, the process of evolution, because it says the dorsal, which is the basically just the shutdown one, and that was when it first, I guess, appeared in the anatomy of this fish or came out of this fish, which again we need to kind of discern for ourselves because we've been fed the Anunnaki timelines and what is our evolution and the Darwin theoretical evolution here. But it
Something that
basically
just popped up into my head was that
So yeah, go on.
in terms of fish and gills as well, one of the things that really popped out was like a couple of days ago in one of the other seams, Aroka were kind of talking about how humans in the future or some kind of themes are actually going to start developing kind of gills around ourselves. We're going to become more aquary. So we're going to be able to actually be more suited for the whole environment. So the whole fish thing, it doesn't seem that kind of crazy when you think about it, especially if in the future we do start developing things like gills and things to be more suited to the earth, whatever that's going to look like in the future.
Right. And there was also Solar shared that he had an experience, I believe as a child, where he was in the pool and underwater for like 10 minutes. And just the way he explained it is that he was breathing through his skin. And he was just like calm, nothing. And then, of course, people probably freaked out, shook him out of it, and pulled him up, but he was fine. So there's some codes there, right? Some kind of codes that he's got with that's still intact. So maybe an ability that we used to have or that we're developing right now too. Redevelop, re-evolution.
Could certainly develop into like breatharianism in the future because it's kind of like with breatharian, at least within the cells, instead of actually kind of getting getting the energy from food and things, it's kind of like photosynthesis kind of happens within the actual blood itself, which is quite interesting. I've just been reading about that. And it's actually starting to happen in humans as well, where some people are kind of having this like photosynthesis effect in their actual blood, which is absolutely fascinating. So it's already starting to occur on some level. I need to find that article actually. But it's really fascinating how it's just starting to evolve. But then again, it's always kind of been there.
So this is
It's
my
always been here.
perspective.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just assuming from my imagination and thinking we're all doing parallel timelines. There are certain timelines when we are ahead of the game and certain timelines when we've resolved some of the issues. So I'm wondering when we think of that time where we had telepathy obviously going on and we didn't need so many defense mechanisms. I'm wondering if the origin had only ventrovagal, and as life became more hybrid, like as more hybrid species came in, then developed the dorsal and the ventrovagal as out of evolutionary necessity. And now that I'm wondering, the ventrovagal is resurfacing with as a consciousness, higher consciousness available. The ventrovagal's resurfacing. So I'm wondering, could it be possible that that's just the way that they've studied? Evolutionary wise, I'm thinking if we started out right, we wouldn't have needed the sympathetic and dorsal, right?
Yeah, there was like different species that were on the planet at coexist, if you want to call it coexist, at the same time during different sections of history as well. So it's like, which one are they picking up on, and how, and all the code convolution as well, because now we're really focused in our live streams. We're obviously focused about the themes, right? The original humans. So, but what they carry, I mean, all the themes are going to carry the code convolution as well. So it's kind of affected all of us. Like we all kind of were not immune. None of us were immune to this. So I think in some ways, like obviously we all have these tendencies, right? Even themes are going to have the dorsal or sympathetic, ventral. We're all going through this. So I think it's relevant in that sense. Like we've all been disconnected. We've all lost hope. We've all been drained of energy. The descriptions of the dorsal. We've all dealt with driven to escape, the anxious, the angry, chaotic energy. And then the evolution, which I think is fascinating, that the elasins are working with this nerve, because it does seem to be an evolution, and maybe this is going to evolve further through these passages that we're working with. And the vagal sheath. You said you were just working with the vagal sheath. What have you been seeing with that or experiencing?
No, I was just yesterday. I was really thinking about this discussion today, and I felt drawn to, let me see, May 2013. That I was looking at that. That's the thing in which they spoke about all the content and the Elisa Kanchiti awakening. So wait, let me read this portion that stood out to me.
Chris, have you still got that excerpt between sliders 1 on the vagus nerve and then
Yes. Yeah. I think that's up on my Rumble channel, if I'm not, or actually it might be on YouTube still. You want to check
it? It might be a good excerpt to go off, especially
Absolutely. Yeah, because Asom was talking, reading an article that was pretty extensive.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah, that's exactly why I haven't had a chance to kind of correlate those notes, because the first impression I got when I did come into case from that particular article was quite different. So I still haven't really integrated all that information.
Yeah.
Well, it was find it here. Yeah.
It was basically the caduceus that we were looking to kind of pop off. It's like this it's the pharmaceutical logo, right? It's the two snakes wound around the rod, which is makes like a coil around the life force energy, the kundalini. So it's not a good symbol, and it's plastered all over our medical industry. So that's kind of telling of what's going on here. But it was, she has all these charts, and there's other charts showing the torsion fields and how we have this harness type thing, which they call organic. They call the tube torus torsion fields organic. They just say, oh, just breathe with it. It's fine. You'll be okay. No. So it's kind of debunking all that. And this is sliders 1, where she's showing those charts. And I've posted those a few times over the years just to try to bring awareness to it as well. But that's where sliders started. Was that you need to get that caduceus off. And what Asom was presenting in that talk was the link to the manifestation of how I interpreted it, and maybe Lewis can get that up for us so we can review it together. But what I was seeing was that it was something linked to the vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve was kind of the manifestation of the caduceus itself.
Yes, that's exactly what I understood. That's exactly why I wanted to kind of, understand.
You saw that also then?
Yeah, I've seen that. I've heard that in depth, but like I said, something about that was still not, it wasn't just over. I felt like there's something I missed. So can I read out this excerpt from
Yes,
April
please.
2013?
Yep, go ahead.
The inorganic Tanaki membrane forms a reversed bipolar distortion layer within the organic Tanchiti membrane, external crystal plasma template.
And what is this from again, real quick? May 2013?
This is from April 2013.
April, okay.
Yeah, and so the Tanaki membrane polarizes the Tanchiti membrane, creating the subconscious and the unconscious mind. So this goat brain directs the function of the neural networks and the sympathetic and the autonomous nervous systems, and is responsible for the fight, flight, and freeze response and its related distortions. It serves as a self-replicating false memory matrix on the personal, mass, and cosmia levels. So does this ring a bell anywhere?
Yeah, I think that's probably where she picked up with the information from what Asan was reading and kind of made it more current, like with the activations, with the elasins. It sounds kind of familiar.
So the way I read it is, we have this mean brain polarization happening, which stops us from being in our ventrovagal.
Okay.
Right. So I'm just feeling like working on this content or this kind of awareness indirectly from the case perspective helps like for someone who's not from a case background,
Absolutely.
who are not working with the frequencies, it gives them an opportunity to work with the to also handle the meme brain, because in effect it's the meme brain that is leading to repetition of trauma, re-traumatization, and fight flight responses, right?
Yes. And could you read the definition of the meme brain again? Is that the same as the goat brain, meme brain, or is that different?
Yeah, it is. It's the same thing. The Tanaki
Same
meme brain
thing.
/
Okay.
goat
Okay.
brain.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think, and I think the more we stay in ventrovagal, our neuroplasticity increases, because when we keep shifting downward, we don't get a chance for neurogenesis. So
Yeah. And it's
yeah,
time waves also. It's like going backwards and forwards type thing.
yes, yes. So if you don't understand time, and like we discussed the other day, sometimes you don't really have the architecture to do anything, so you just give up and you go backward.
Right. Okay.
So
Yeah. Looping
yeah,
time waves.
yeah, and I see this regularly, and I would think if I loop 3 times, I would wonder what the hell's happening. And sometimes I see people looping like 10 times. They don't have any part of them telling them that why am I looping? This isn't okay.
Or 10
Something needs to
lifetimes.
happen. Yeah, yeah.
It's actually quite interesting that you say that with like going back in time, because it's all to
Yeah.
do with our Merkaba fields, because kind of currently with our Merkaba fields, so kind of think at the top and the bottom of the Merkaba, and if they go into at the same angle, or if they both go clockwise, what will happen is it'll kind of create like a weird Vector kind of field, and it'll kind of open you up from the backwards, so
Yeah.
it'll kind of move
Yeah.
your light body into a slight angle. So in theory, you're actually moving back towards Atlantis, so at least that's what the original intent of it was.
Hibernation zones.
Yeah.
Okay. And KDDL 2 goes more into Merkaba also, and that's time wave mechanics with that. And I barely scratched the surface of KDDL 2. Mateo the other day, or yesterday actually, was giving really good breakdown of KDDL 3, KDDL 2, just like you can tell he's really integrated it well. So people like that to just have on the platform to add their input is extremely valuable to know that, because I'm not well researched on it. I know that it has to do with Merkaba and there's time waves, so there's got to be a link there to what Lewis is saying. And the goat brain, right? All of it's linked together. It's incredible. Yeah. You can make a big chart and just combine workshops and just boom, boom, boom. Like a flip chart.
And I feel like, yeah, I was saying the place we get trapped repeatedly, from my understanding, if you've read like the second part of the principle, is neuroception.
Oh, the surveillance, the
Yeah,
part of
I
you,
think the
yes,
neuroception is where we're getting trapped because in some way this feels familiar and home to go backward, and that's how we kind of keep looping. And I think just to we kind of blindly believe our neuroception,
yes. And that's
right?
also
And
what I was
yeah,
linking was this part of anatomy potentially because she's using the word embody, which I love. Like, I mean,
yeah,
that's
yes,
a big
yeah,
word, right? That's in KS, that's a
yeah,
pretty big word. So when
yeah,
she's putting that in, also, I love the expansion she gave or the definition on context that she put. It's an interweaving,
yes, yeah.
of reality. But
Yeah, so I do think something about the book is really high frequency.
yeah, yeah. I'm wondering what Iesha was actually reading out of because she was reading articles in some parts in Schismatic about this, and it feels familiar. Like maybe there was some of this too.
Okay.
But surveillance system, just automatically what I picked up was this is like oversoul and soul level. And if you're trying to embody, then this is a part where we may be getting, some staticky reception and there's things going on. We need to clear out
Yeah,
as well.
and she says so clearly, your neuroception is how you make your story. Like what's the story you're living is coming from your neuroception and not exactly from your thoughts. It's not really something that we're thinking. It's how you feel, and based on that, you make up a story.
And the example of like the phone call, she said, you're calling up a friend or your friend cancels and doesn't give you an explanation. There's no context and your mind's going all over the place. I'm a bad person. I did this. Like all this stuff just kind of gets triggered because there's no context. And you're saying that that's also at this level of the internal surveillance system.
Yeah. So I'm thinking
Neuroception.
a lot of like one of my yesterday as I was contemplating one of the insights I got, two insights. One was I was trying to see what would have kind of initiated our interaction because I've just not spoken about this for a long time in KS. One thing that personally came up for me was I don't know if it resonates, spinning the flame, right? Because the flame is here, but you need the flame to spin to have all of these processes working in a forward direction, and a lot of us are struggling even to get the flame on. And the second thing that came up was don't lose energy trying to heal something which doesn't exist.
Can you give an example of that?
For example, if I were to sit and work and heal on something, it would take energy from me, right?
Yes.
But what I did realize is if my neuroception is plugged into something, I could have tons of things coming up and I wouldn't be able to heal all of that.
Okay. All right.
What I actually need is a better neuroception.
Almost like, and there was implication in this too somewhere about slowing down. I was telling Lewis this before you came on
Yeah.
about just pushing a slow-mo button and just looking at every contraption that comes on in our regular life and just kind of dissecting it. Like, how does all this affect us? That we're just passing through the days, not even aware of this.
So what
I
I
actually just found,
kind of go on.
sorry, I just found a little quote by what Steve Smith said in the general questions. I think it's really relevant with kind of what we're talking about. I just kind of like to post it inside the actual chat.
Yeah.
It's just from the Telegram group. It's really relevant because it kind of defies exactly what we've been talking about in a lot of ways with the attitudes of especially kind of having like a preconceived judgment about people and every. One
Have you posted
second.
it? Oh, no, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just posted it now. There we go.
In Facebook or in Zoom? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Are you able to read that? for us, Lewis, or pull
Yeah.
it up on? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll read it. So about 30 years ago, I knew this guy who had a car accident. His car hit a tree, and his head hit the steering wheel. He had made a short-term memory loss for a few months. He couldn't remember what was happening 15 minutes ago. He spent every day sitting under a tree in front of the coffee shop near his home, just being nice to everyone and somehow being very, very wise in a way that freaked everyone out a little. His head didn't work, but his heart was working just fine, and Chris was always a nice guy to begin with. If you talked to him half an hour ago, he couldn't remember if you'll meet him for the first time. He couldn't remember you, but he was equally towards everyone cheerful and open-hearted. It was so beautiful and a big lesson to everyone who witnessed it.
Oh, why? In what way do you think, Lewis, this speaks to us?
How do you link that together?
Because we're always kind of talking about like the
Oh,
preconceived
the
notions of
perception.
of like when we
Mm.
but it kind of
But
seems
he also
like
lost his memory here, right?
yes, but it seems to kind of also suggest that the higher kind of
Ah,
senses are coming into play from the oversoul level.
Right.
Because that
Surveillance.
no,
I think it was
no, to
talking
me, it
about
more sounds like I remember reading a similar case study in one of the books where the experience, I wonder if he remembers who he is, because in that case study, they said that the similar brain injury led to a injury in a part of the brain that could process. So he wasn't actually processing. So he was just living in the absolute now. There was no past. It's not the eternal now, right?
Could be time
no,
loops,
it's
like just stuck somewhere, like the time waves thing.
Would there be a coherence in this case? We do need a coherence, right, to our original
Coherence.
past, if not the false past?
we could always kind of link it also into like the ascension, like the original ascension path of the original human, how it kind of linked back into it like 30 years old. You would start to link into your density 5 oversoul level and things like that as well. So you'd kind of assume, even at 30 years old now, something, at least on some levels, start to click, and a whole new connection would kind of open up to some extent. Well, at least that's kind of what I'm kind of theorizing with this.
So the book club that you run, how are you guys both seeing this? Would this information would be beneficial for our community? Like, what are you guys seeing?
I'd love to actually do a weekly meetup where we discuss a chapter. So, because if you look at the index, really nice flow, and it actually kind of ends in community. And I think it'll be like a great place for a few of us to arrive at. Because one of the things that I'm kind of noticing, even with the different groups I'm at, is there is this idea of kinship that is quite broken. Everybody seems to be separated, disconnected, and connected over content. The connection with people is like missing. So part of my reason to start these book clubs was to kind of let the fields evolve and use the content as just a tool, and to build a better connection, like what Louis just mentioned. Like in this art, in this thing, what I liked about it is he was open-hearted and cheerful, and and I kind of feel at some level that's something I like to access. But because I feel that there's a lot of polarization, either people are intimidated by me or I'm intimidated by people, and I kind of feel it's more of a field issue. So I feel like a book club helps in calibration of the fields, if you understand what I mean.
Totally.
So it's kind of like it's like creating a circle all around us, pretty much. At least with my own book club, at least not even a book club, my own kind of group. I always try to visualize it as like a giant circle. Everybody comes around the circle. Everybody's open-hearted. Everyone kind of has that morphogenetic field connection to them, and we're all kind of linked together.
Yeah. And also just imagine talking to someone who, sorry.
Keep going.
Go ahead.
there's a lapse in how this the talk happens. That's why I keep thinking you've stopped, and then I realize you haven't stopped. Yeah, no, I was trying to say that it's amazing to speak to people who knows this is my, I'm in my ventrovagal, I need some time. I'm in my sympathetic, so I need some time, or I want to talk to you, but I'm in my sympathetic. Do you have the bandwidth for it? So we don't really have to bump into each other like animals,
Exactly. Yeah. Just having the words to express is really
Yeah.
healthy. So I'm looking for the analogy that she gave at the beginning here. The title of this book, Anchored, is a word you'll hear repeated throughout the chapters. And she says, I grew up around the water, understanding how anchors are essential to staying safe in response to changing conditions. An anchor digs into the ocean floor with enough line between it and the boat. So between it and the boat, it kind of stood out to me, to hold the boat safely in one place, but with enough leeway to move in response to changes in the sea and wind. Now that's, you can almost see like a visual with that in life, right?
The tether.
Yes, yeah. Blue Lotus
Blue
tether.
Lotus tether.
Exactly. So safety comes with a firmly embedded anchor and the right amount of line. So, we could really apply this to our experiences with the Blue Lotus tether. We were discussing this in our early live streams about how long does it stay on, and does it flicker? Is it constantly on? And I think Erica's is probably constantly on. But for some people like mine, I feel like I got it kicked on at the grill while I was there. Now I'm coming back and like integrating the experience and catching up with myself, but I don't physically feel it like I did there. Like it was just boom, I knew that was on up there. And like I said, I was working with the Cathara 4 chakra codes with the Trua body. And I posted that rendition that I did, kind of updating it to my own Trua body and what I felt comfortable with. But yeah, it's different for everybody, like what connection they're going to have with this Blue Lotus tether. What's been your experiences with it, Shamim? Like, is it on all the time, or is it just periodically?
So I'm feeling like it's a lot easier for me to. I was kind of reading a lot about in our KS dictionary. There is this thing on attunement, right? What attunement is? There's a definition for attunement. Have you been through that?
Yeah, are you able to pull that up real quick, Lewis? Maybe Lewis can get it so we can read over. I don't remember it.
Lewis, do you have the dictionary with you?
Yes, I do.
He's got everything in front of him. It's all accessible.
Oh god, I have too much.
Me too.
So you find out 1 moment. Okay, it's dictionary preview. So let's find out 1 moment.
You can share the screen. Let me get this off here too.
KLM. Oblivion. Oneness.
It's A. It would be the A.
Oh. Oneness. Let's have a look. Anti-queer sapien. No, wait. AT, what it? Safety. Angelic. Let's see. That's accelerator activation, Adorne. At 1 moment, there we go. A26.
Yeah.
So go back up. A26 at 1 moment. I can't even. So A26, it's
Okay.
I wish I knew how to navigate this dictionary, but whatever. A20, keep going down. 24, 25, Astral Mind, so it should be, there we go. I will.
Yes. So that's the
There we
primal
go.
condition. Yeah. So I always feel there is a correlation between codependency, which Yesha talks about. Uh, I think it was after the 2012, the codependency and the narcissism and the schema. So I feel like at some level, we're all primarily wired for attunement, but because of all our biological issues, we end up with enmeshment, and that's where we start looping backward. So my experience with these book clubs is when I stick with this content and when I keep repeating the same people who are working on their fields, it's easy for me to stay in the state of attunement, which is what we kind of get through tethering, right? Once you tether, you get the initial access to what attunement feels like. And then that becomes slowly a part of our biology. That's how I perceive it. Do let me know what you feel. So in this, she speaks about this creates a state, this creates the experience of being fully engaged yet non-attached. So that thing of being non-attached is more and more accessible since I've started. So I don't think the service is really probably coded, because when I'm not doing something with people, I'm not really able to get into a state of flow. So having found a way to work with people in a way doesn't affect my field has in return helped me stabilize more.
Yes, yeah. At one man creates absolute love, and absolute love is the eternal vibrational resonance of consciousness that holds the structure of the cosmos together. So it's very linked to the definition of love itself. It's a heart. What's the gayest definition of love? The harmonization.
Yeah, harmonize. I forgot.
Let's find it in the dictionary then, shall we?
Yeah. Looks very similar.
Harmonization. EFG. H. Harmonic universe, harmonic shields. Keep going down. Was it harmonization was trying to find?
Maybe love. I don't know if it has that in
I think
there.
love itself is there.
I think so.
There is hard love and soft love too.
There we go.
Yeah, that's right.
L9.
Self-love. Yeah, it shows different levels of love.
Okay, so let's keep going down. Is there any way I can actually just kind of grab this? So B, C, D, E, F, G, H, E. Bloody hell, who actually made this dictionary? It's.
I know.
We need to upgrade
E,
it.
F, G, H.
Actually,
I've chance to upgrade it, to be honest.
I think I still might be in a friend with the person who made it, because it was actually for sale when I came in the group. I think on Azurite Press or maybe a separate website, but they definitely linked up to it. He was just doing this himself. You know, it wasn't like a team or anything. It was just one guy, one KSer that was putting all this together.
Wasn't it like an original, like a university project or something?
No, it's from what I recall, it's just one KSer. I don't know if he was even Cathara team. He just was like a volunteer, and he would continually add to it. And you could get the free version, and when you bought the complete version, it would unlock all the links to it.
Oh.
Because some of them would have links to it to go to pay for it.
There we go.
Yeah.
Love.
There it is. Oh, there's a few different types of love here. But the description above, you scroll up, make sure that's at the first part. The feeling of love. Let's go there. Vibrational harmonization. The feeling of love. Let me expand it real quick here.
I'll read this one. The feeling of love is the result of the condition of vibrational harmonization or the co-resonance of consciousness between the lover and the beloved.
Oh, then we need to go down slightly. I'm just looking at the stream. There we go.
Oh, we're like,
Should be able to see everything.
I keep moving it up and you're moving it down. We're in harmonization here. Yeah, scroll it down to the first part again. Now I've got it cut off.
Masters of love, so self-love, tough-love.
Let me see the first part again, the very first that she just read. I just want to read that again. Vibrational harmonization, that's what I was looking for. Feeling of love is a result of the condition of vibrational harmonization or the co-resonance of consciousness between the lover and the beloved. And at one-ment is very much that word's throughout the definition here as well. So getting back to that, what were you linking at one-ment with again? You said in the book club,
no, I was thinking, you asked me about the book club. So I was saying that having a consistent set of people, the same set of people repeatedly meeting with the same intention, in my perception, creates a field which I can contribute to and I can receive from to function through the week, because we're all creating that field, right? And also I perceive the state of at-one-ment as the love, the state of love that they speak about in KDDL 2, and I think in the new content they speak about the Yorada state, that is
lowest unified velocity.
Yes.
Okay.
So to me, I feel all of that speaks to the same energy, to be able to hold a frequency where I can remain whole even though I'm coexisting in multiple realities or with multiple people in the same reality. And that quality is not strong enough. And having these book clubs and having these opportunities kind of strengthens that state in my field.
Yes. Well, I can say just from what we've done with the live stream, we did our 8th just yesterday. It's a special number linked with the Sun 8s and Alhambra. And it was a very powerful one. There was like 14 people that showed up on that stream. And
I saw that.
Really big subjects we were discussing about possession and the shaman and everything. I can definitely agree with that if some people aren't present, that don't show up, I can feel it. Like I feel their input that is missing. And it's like we're co-creating, like Erica, Mateo, and Tommy and everybody. It's like we've all got to be there, like to make this platform. It's like we all establish some part of the building block that's there, and and other people are building it as we go. So it's continually
growing. I had an invitation yesterday. A few people, they liked what I was trying to explain. They said, "Hey, do it for us." I said, "Yeah, I'll do it, but I need two things. I need to know who wants to do it and, who really want their nervous system done. I need to know who they are. And second, there are certain guidelines that I follow when we're in the group together. And if you're willing to go through the guidelines, if it's an alignment, we'll do that. And the third thing is I want the same people showing up, it's okay if you miss out a couple, but intentionally wanting to see through the process, because I feel like these three things are important in creating that field, because this is not just creating awareness, right? You're kind of creating a container to build up whatever broken parts are there.
Lewis, we got to write this stuff down. She's giving us really good advice here. I picked this up the other day also on one of our streams. Somebody jumped on and there was like a camera. It looked like the moon outside and it was like pulsing and you could see his hand kind of moving and then he flashed off. I'm like, who the heck was that? And what do we know about it? Like, what in the world? And it's kind of just, and this is what really gets me. It's like, there should be some kind of container, like you're saying. That's a very special word, of where we know who is coming at the door before they come inside. And that's not the case on Discord. It's not the case sometimes on Telegram or Facebook. And we're still kind of going through the groups to tighten it up. But that really got to me. And actually, there's been a couple of people that have just popped on that just said, no, I don't want to talk. Like, I don't, I can't talk or something. We're like, okay. And it's kind of lingering there. And not to be just like, snobby about stuff, but it's like an energetic thing, like you're talking about with the container. I think it's really a valid point whenever we're building community.
Because I know in this group, I know of this one person who's obviously leading that group. I was doing something with her, but I didn't notice there was that strain of energy, because it does require a certain amount of flexibility and desire to adapt to a new way, right? When we're trying to do something together.
Yeah.
But I knew that she wasn't there yet. I knew that from all the discussions we had. But she wanted to do it because she felt like, hey, it's a good thing, you're doing something really nice and I want to be a part of it. And I knew this cannot happen there. So I had to put it, because I knew putting in because she doesn't like to follow rules. So when I put my guideline, I called the set of things, what I've written, I call it the Kinship Initiative. So that's the one thing that I send, and I said, okay, this is my intention, and just see if it is in alignment with what you like to create.
Yes.
And if that's the case, let's go ahead. But if someone is not there yet, my initiative triggers them, and that helps me get to know right from the go. We can't go further. It saves me a lot of energy going in and then figuring out.
It saves me a ton of energy, and I've been doing this for like 15 years, and I'm just now realizing this, Shami. I'm just waking up to it. Like, we have to greet everybody at the door and see who they are, and a lot of people think that's weird. A lot of people have kind of misunderstood some of that, but it's something that's really important when you're setting an intention in co-resonance with love and the harmonic vibrational state of it. It's like, okay, is somebody coming in with that same state, or what are they carrying? Not to be paranoid.
This other thing, Christopher, I'm noticing in the past few months is some of the things I say, sometimes the people are okay, they will align, but they're not ready for what you say yet.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm noticing right now a lag period when I suggest, like I pitched this to a couple of my college friends and school friends to do this. I'm noticing that because I want to keep my field clear, I keep my, I say these things. Of course, I have a lot of thing of, like, what are they going to think? Are they going to, those things come up. But what I've noticed is there is a lag period, and after which a set of people eventually like, yeah, let's go with it, And I think it takes that time. Even with my husband, I've noticed. I keep wondering, when's he going to, throw the towel out? And he's like, okay, this is it,
Right.
But he needs that lag time, and then he's like, okay,
Yeah.
that sounds interesting.
Very
But
true.
the initial is going to be, no, I don't like it, not great, I don't see what you're doing. So yeah, I think that the lag is something that I'm beginning to be more mindful of. I'm not judgmental about people saying no.
Yes.
Sometimes I think the field takes a little longer to align it to it.
Yes. So even with our Telegram groups and Facebook, there has to be some resonance of participation there in the way of a profile picture. And that's something I picked up. Like that, even a profile picture is like a level of participation. If it's just blank. So there's reasons behind this on the encryption level, or on this, harmonization of vibrational harmonization level. Like, what are they coming into? Do they even want to be a part of this? Like, because that's what I was discovering checking in with people in the groups when I recently was just going through the members list and trying to tighten up the groups, was a lot of people didn't even know how they got there, and it was just invitations by other people, and they're like, what is KS? What is it? Which is a good opportunity to introduce it to them, but they might not always resonate with it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, very valid
Can
points.
we briefly discuss co-regulation? That's something that speaks to what we were talking, the third part. Did something resonate with both of you? Co-regulation after neuroception.
Okay. There we go.
All right. Okay. It says co-regulation wired for connection.
Yes. So one of the things that helps me when I'm doing this part with a group is I get an opportunity to tell them that they are responsible for their self-regulation, and it's only for the other part we need the co-regulation of the others. Because for a lot of us, we come thinking that we don't need to self-regulate, right? And so this kind of clarifies that in every group that there is a distinction between there are, and there are other people who are very hyper independent. They're like, no, I don't like depending on people. So I think this is the kind of ultimately it is this part which I'm trying to co-create with the book clubs, this co-regulation, where we recognize we're all on our individual processes, but then how do we co-regulate? Because at the end of the day, we're body, biology, nervous system, and it's not the body until you obviously move into immaculation. This the struggle of being human is real, right?
It says, in order to co-regulate, I have to feel safe with you. You have to feel
Yes.
safe with me. And we have to find a way to come into connection and regulate with each other.
Yeah.
Regulate has been coming up a lot. Modulate, regulate, these words. What do you see the word at? What is the definition of regulate for you?
For me, regulate,
Like monitoring?
like recently I had this thing that I discussed at home and for myself. There are 6 levels of emotional awareness. The first level is basically to understand what you are feeling. That's the first level. And to be honest, I feel as a stage of evolution, we are still there. We're still like, I have this feeling chart that I go through when I'm feeling something. My body mind is so mangled up that what I like yesterday I shared something with ADHD and red flags. When you have this kind of a neural issue, you think of a red flag and you perceive it as something positive.
Wow.
So your body's trying to tell you danger, and your brain's reading, wow, go right ahead for it.
Wow. Yeah. That is a
Right?
technique.
Yeah. So I feel like that's the kind of a thing that we can correct with these fields, and to just at least get in touch with, are you feeling something that is help what you see or what you experience, is it helpful or not? So when I started reading this book, I started realizing that a lot of my daily experiences, which I thought were ventrovagal experiences, when I got into this awareness, I understood they were sympathetic experiences. They were excitatory in nature, but my mind has a way of perceiving something that excites me as uh, connecting and ventrovagal. But when I started going into my nervous system, I was like, oh no, my body doesn't like the surge that's feeling right now,
Right.
So that awareness of it, I would say, is like the first step in regulation, because we're misreading the signs, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the PTSD level where the brain is trying to recreate it, like these illusions that you're not safe over and over. It's like a rubber band, or rubbery.
Yeah.
We also have to remember though that our whole nervous system, the whole regulation system itself is really quite distorted at the minute. It's kind of like what Aisha was kind of saying about the fight or flight. It's kind of originally we wasn't as reactive as we were, but currently our emotions are literally being heightened 1,000%.
Yeah.
To begin with,
Yeah.
it's very, very powerful what they're talking about in this book. Very, very powerful.
Yeah. And that's why I feel it's a lot to do on your own. You want to do this on your own, it's a lot, it's exhausting, and we have an X amount of life energy. So that's why I really like being with groups and people which are responsible. I feel we can get a lot done
So that's certainly very
and not
true.
get
So,
drained. Yeah.
And not get
so
drained.
how do you implement that chart? Because I actually had an interesting experience earlier today when I was kind of just meditating on that chart itself. It's like because with me at least, I don't really see colors that well when it kind of comes to visualization and things, but my inner hearing, it is really, really powerful. So I was like thinking, right, let's have a look. What can I hear when I think of the top chart? And it felt like I could hear such high frequencies, kind of similar to like when I was doing the MRA buffer and things like that. It was really, really high. So it kind of gave me the recognition that, okay, if I hear this kind of sound in my ears, I know that's kind of the state that I'm in, that kind of bliss kind of state. If I go into the bottom, okay, what can I link that to? Okay, then I go into the then I go to the bottom one. It was kind of like having a hearing test where it goes like and it goes. So really, then I started kind of going into some of my own experiences at work because currently at work at McDonald's, I'm kind of because it's such a stressful job. I try to what's the word? I become very unconscious. I try to knock myself out of it, so I'm just kind of in an autopilot mode. So what I was trying to do was I was just meditating on it. I was thinking of that experience. I was kind of feeling all the things that kind of came with it, and I was trying to think, right, how can I kind of take control of this situation? So I kind of brought that whole experience down to mine. I was like, right, I know what each stage sounds like. So I want to try create 3 individual experiences, and I want to see how I react in each one. And it was kind of like all 3 experiences played out simultaneously, and I'm like, oh my bloody god. It was absolutely amazing. And it brought so much awareness because I always thought there was only like one way that I can react. But it turns out there's multiple ways in which I can react. And it's so, so, so empowering to really just figure out, or really just to have the freedom to choose how I want to react. I think that's the most powerful gift you could have ever kind of given me because I've had so much OCD, I've got all this anxiety, I've got all these massive, heavy emotions on me. So just kind of being kind of aware of this book because when I was originally reading this book, it was kind of like, oh my God, it's putting all these things that I felt like, but I could never really describe. It was kind of putting it all into words. And I was like, this is an absolute gold mine. And that's just from the first chapter. So it's certainly a really exciting experience. I don't know if my own experience might help anyone. I've not got a clue, but bloody hell, it's powerful. And I'll keep you updated on how I'm kind of dealing with this at work because I know what works for me now and I know how I can apply it. So thank you.
I'm really happy to know that it's had the similar influence. For me also, it's really helped me ground so much better.
It's a really good
That's
template
exactly what
just
we
to
need.
utilize in life. Even the language here is really beneficial. I'm going to try to implement this in my home with my kids and like say, okay, which part are we at? Because we were already, I think we discussed IFS, internal family system, Shamim. So we've already got kind of an understanding of the parts and how they're concealing the inner childs or I think they call it the refuge or something behind the curtain in the book. So you have like the confuser and the busybody and the wizard, all these different parts that are concealing that. We actually got the deck of cards that has all this really cool artwork. It's kind of like, it reminds me of like a tarot deck, but it's not like that. It's just artwork on cards. But we just kind of pick which card is our part for that week that we're dealing with, you know? And that was really a breakthrough for us, just to be more real with ourselves and our emotions and everything.
Yeah, and I think even with my children, I've started doing this book also because I do feel that just staying in this nervous system awareness has saved us a lot of loops because I felt responsible as a mother to deal with what came up for them. And they feel responsible as children living their own experience to engage in every neuroceptive experience they were having. So I feel like just this awareness has reduced the number of occurrences of emotional chaos. And now, like I said, I just use the terminology, let's do more activities in a day that would proactively promote the ventrovagal. Like, let's get down to it. Let's plan the day where we have few activities which are meant to activate the ventrovagal state.
Right. Being proactive with it as well.
Yeah. And also because I said I recently did this emotional freedom technique. One of the things I do when I start is I do this ventrovagal inspired tapping, where I go directly at,
Yes.
just to kind of awaken the ventrovagal system, because I feel like for eons that part of mine has not been that active. So just to kind of catch up on all that low activity. So I just kind of, like I said, proactively bring it forward, because by now I've kind of understood that it's not really the things I need to solve. It's the lack of availability of the ventrovagal neurology that is causing a suffering. But when I lose the energy, I don't have the clarity. So before I lose my clarity, I kind of put these things in place.
And the idea of tapping is like to bring you back into awareness of your body, like here and now.
No, I think there is,
EFT.
like we already understood in our discussion, there is a mind-body disconnect.
Okay.
Right? There is actually, you could think something and your body will take, like the same thing, like I said, right? Some people take longer to get there. When you discuss something, they're like, no. And then after a few days, they're like, okay, let me give it a shot. Right? I can imagine the same thing with the body, where my mind thinks like we need the ventrovagal on, but my body is like, no, more comfortable with dorsal and sympathetic in the moment. So tapping kind of is like something I use to bridge the gap and kind of wake up my body and say, hey, listen, this is what we're doing. Yeah, that's how it helps me.
Right. It's really big in the community right now too. I hear a lot about it. I think there's actually practitioners that are doing that, KSers. So I've got the.
Really just,
oh, go ahead.
I guess with me, with emotional freedom tapping, I just kind of use it as an exercise to really just go into like complete acceptance of everything I've kind of gone through throughout the day. And it's such a simple technique that you can do. And I don't know what it is. I just feel light when you do it. And it's interesting because on one hand, I think perhaps this is bothering me, but then every time I go, because you've got like various, so you've got inside, out, to the side of the elbow, side, you just kind of keep going down. And you kind of do it, and it's about 8-9 points, so you can kind of do 2 or 3 rounds of it, one on each side, and then just one more. But I kind of find that the issues that I kind of concentrate on, the more that I go down on the points, the more concentrated it actually gets, the more expanded it gets, and I start to see how everything's kind of links back into each other, and it kind of it heals the bigger, wider issues.
Yeah, exactly. But what was bothering you? You said something was bothering you.
At work?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just work generally. It's like
No, you
with
said when you were
work,
doing EFT, does the process bother you in some way? EFT?
not specifically, no. It's just more in terms of the things that I usually tap on. It's just really kind of
Okay.
helped me. I was kind of just using it, for example, if something bothers me at work, I'll just kind of just tap on it, for example. And
Yeah.
then it'll link from that specific thing, and then it'll like linking into either something like control or lack of control, because that's kind of how I feel secure, is kind of like being able to predict and being able to control my reality kind of thing. Which is why the book is such an important thing, because at least in
Yeah.
my life, I lack so much, which I guess control is not a bad thing, so to speak. I kind of wish I could just kind of go with the flow, but I guess it kind of goes back down to trusting as well. And I know that's one of the
Yes.
virtues as well. You're supposed to
Yes.
trust in the whole oneness, and I do.
That is a big
But at the
one.
same time, it's like my ego, and it goes with things like
No, but I
teams as
really
well.
like you say this, because that's exactly also what I'm trying to create with these groups, right? With the book clubs. I feel this came up in our last discussion, trust. I feel the sense of not being able to trust is the root of everything. Like, that's where our nervous system is like, I don't trust, so I'm going to be up and I'm going to be hyper vigilant. So that's exactly what I'm hoping we can, because it's not our minds that need it, it's our body that needs to feel that I'm safe. Like, and I do feel when you keep coming to the same group of people, also working, like when you come and see me work 6 times and be really honest about wanting to be a better person, you start trusting in humanity again. Oh, I saw at least 5, 6 of them doing that.
Yeah.
So, and then you go back when somebody messes up, that's fine, because I got some place where I have hope and where I see. And I think we don't have that kind of a visual representation to feel trusted and trustworthy.
Kind of less posts about what the Illuminati are doing and geopolitical stuff. You kind
Yeah.
of stop focusing about it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it really is hard, right? Because you can't open Instagram, social media, or
Yeah.
even now since COVID, you can't even go out and have a normal conversation
Yeah.
without knowing what's going to come up.
In our KS community too, in our Christic community, that's the
Yeah.
majority of the topics. I don't know if you're in that group, but it's the discussion
No, I'm
about.
not, and that's the reason why I'm not in the
Yeah.
group. I don't
I know.
have the nervous system bandwidth to explore it.
I know, Shamim, it's like we also need to talk about it and process it at the same time, because I'm just feeling it's productive. You know, people are getting stuff out, but at some point, and you kind of have to allow people like their space, their pace for this as well to come into it. But it's good. I love this book club that you're doing, so we can present it as at least an option where people don't have to exhaust themselves.
No, what I would suggest is if at least to start it, I would like for people, Louis and Christopher, you guys personally, because when you've hung out with people, right, to really have a smaller group with people whom who have shown up repeatedly, because sometimes life's too busy also, right? To start and see what happens. And then if people want, we can actually have a bigger group for people,
Yeah.
to make this available to others. But it's also important that we create a container for ourselves.
Yes, I believe in that. Yeah, that's the way to start. Lewis has done an incredible job with what he's doing in Sacred Circle. The name is just spot on. That's where you develop a real strong core. Just people coming together.
What's that about, Lewis?
Really, it's just about creating a space for people. Like you said, it's a small group of people. Like originally, the people that really attend Sacred Circle are the same people that attended the book club.
There's trust there.
Yeah, we all know each other.
So
We're
you
really
have a book
close
club?
with each other. Not currently. So
You're starting
really,
one? Angelic Realities?
Angelic Realities, then Voyages
the
one.
Voyages. All right. Yeah.
So really, all Sacred Circle was originally supposed to be about was just kind of a small gathering for people from the Voyages book club to kind of just come back together, because that's something we really kind of missed after Jesse's book club kind of met. And it really gave us a lot of flexibility in terms of things that we can kind of talk about and things like that. And what I found is that it's an amazing way just for people just to kind of talk, to connect. It don't even have to be about chaos. It can just be about life generally. And because it's such a small group of people and we all trust each other, that's where the deeper issues kind of start popping out. We start talking about trauma. We start talking about all these different things, last life experiences and all this other kind of stuff. And it really gets to the root of the issues, because it's kind of like how the emotional freedom topping kind of works. You bring it out, and then you say, I deeply, completely love, accept, and forgive myself.
Yes.
So it's a massive support. So you let it, so you bring awareness to it. You have everyone around you offering you support and things like that, if that's what you require. And then we let it go. Absolutely, just let it go.
Let it go. That's important. You guys do prayers and songs sometimes, like set the frequency.
It's certainly something new that I've started doing, because originally we never did anything like that. But I think it's, especially with how dark and traumatic some of the experiences got, I thought it's really important just to create the energy there.
Yeah. Have you had any experiences in this group, like with polarity, like where it's going lopsided, like one part this far into a subject, and it's like, you know what I mean, like the bringing up fear stuff or something?
A little bit, but again, it's kind of stuff that needs to come out.
Yeah,
Because how are we
right.
supposed to deal with polarity if we don't bring awareness to it? It's kind of like pushing it under the rug. If we keep it under the rug, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger until it explodes.
There's definitely a
we'd rather just
balance
kind
with
of get
it.
it. Yeah.
I'm kind of seeking the
I'd-
balance with it also, like in the groups, like how far.
I guess it's just all about intention. It's kind of like every single time that we kind of come out, we pretty much just do the same. It's like the similar prayer that we do. I think it's vow to the Christ star. And it's all to just do with kind of gatherings. This is a sacred gathering, just kind of just what's the word?
Intention.
Just yeah, literally. And it's such a beautiful prayer, the declaration of Christic intention. And it's just I don't know, it's just something that we like to do at the end, the start of the session and the end, I guess. Just create the intention of this Christic sacred gathering that we're all supposed to be here. And it even talks about things like healing the darkness and sending healing to all the merciless forces of chaos that presided here on this planet.
Sounds like
So it's
shadow
not
body
only
work.
So we're not just kind of healing ourselves, but we're also sending out the intention for love to everywhere within all universes of all beings and galaxies, and it's just I don't know. I think it just really works out really well.
Isn't that a
People
Buddhist
seem to really enjoy
practice,
it.
or maybe Tibetan? They send out, they do prayers for peace for the whole world and send out like good vibes to everyone.
Yeah, there's a giant bell like in Tibet. There's before the communist revolution, they had like this giant kind of temple, and it had this giant bell, and I think it got rang every couple of hours. And that bell was to kind of represent sending out peace and love and healing throughout the whole world.
It's really good meditation because it's literally sending out sound waves that could be encrypted with
100%.
Well, I had to go back to Chismatic in August 2013, Shamim, where she's talking about the tryptophasic nervous system. Do you mind if I play that? I've got it queued up a little here. Maybe we can just listen to a little bit. I don't know how much time you have, but I'd like to play some of it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go ahead and play it. Can you guys watch this on the live stream on Perspectives and Mute? Because we've had some feedback. People saying there's like an echo and stuff whenever I play it through the mic here, so it gets kind of loud. All right. So I'll go ahead and play it, and I'll let you guys catch up on the stream.
Aspects of the nervous system, tryptoplasmic interface. All right. This is where we get into a series where we've been looking at the larger planetary and cosmea level of how these activation dynamics work. This is the one where we start to bring it down a little bit more closer to home as far as how these things interface with your personal, anatomy and neural networks and that kind of thing. So this is just basically aspects of the nervous system. And science knows about the autonomic nervous system, knows about the vagus nerve, knows about the central nervous system, doesn't quite know about the tryptophasic nervous system yet. So this is theoretical. This is stuff that science already knows. Now, the autonomic nervous system, it has the sympathetic, or SNS, goat brain, fight or flight, is controlled. These are controlled by the Alhambra passages, actually. So you have the tryptophasic nervous system actually controls these outer aspects of the nervous system. And it's just something that's theoretical now because science has not discovered the existence of the tryptoplasmic fields yet. So the autonomic nervous system is controlled by the Alhambra passages part of the tryptophasic nervous system, or the chismatic field. The vagus nerve, they call this the gateway between the ANS, which was the autonomic nervous system, and the central nervous system.
Just real quick, some parts on here, and if you guys need me to pause it, just let me know also. But some parts on here where she's talking about how these councils are in control of this, she's presenting it as all encompassing. Like they're in control of this for everybody here. how do you see that? Do you think that there's conditions where people um, where they're not in control or they don't have access to this, or I don't know. I'm just trying to wrap my head around that. Because she just rattled off a lot there. She said the Alhumba are in control
Can
of
you
this.
ask that again?
Well, she just said like the Alhumba are in control of this part of the nervous system and the Alasans this. And I'm just trying to wrap my head around that. Like how are they, because some people may not have access to that or may not have the system that's linked in with what they're in control of, in my opinion, it seems like. But maybe she's talking about this in just relevance to the workshop and to us and the people that showed up, I guess.
Oh,
What do you guys see?
The one thing that just popped into my mind was, you know how we kind of connect to the Earth's core Nomi seed and things like that from Earth's core, and we kind of bring the energy up through our central vertebral column and everything else.
Yes.
I feel like that's kind of how we are directly penetrating the vagus nerve.
Yeah.
But kind of goes back to kind of what Chris was saying. If that is specifically how it's done, then potentially that's probably potentially that's only kind of us kind of recoding it, so to speak. Maybe I don't know.
So she's presenting this as this is what is available as the host, and you can make your connection to this level of yourself. Is how I'm interpreting it, right? Do you guys get that, or what? Go ahead.
So there is a tabular column in this in the catalog. Do you remember that, in which it speaks about which one connects to which passage?
The chart?
In the same, yeah, there's a chart which says the center.
Are we talking about the suns?
No, the central nervous system, which passage? One connects to the vagus, connects to the future bardo passage.
I'm going to pull it up right now. I know what you're talking about, I think.
Yeah.
There we know.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of when she says that the top was controlled by the goat brain? Because the thing that kind of popped up with that was that specific deity that's kind of connected to Satanism and whatnot. Or at least just from the horns. Which that would be Satanism. What would that actually be in terms of fallen angelic groups? Because if we can figure out what that was linked to specifically, then we'd be able to potentially figure out where all our original DNA comes from, or specifically what's currently the biggest contaminant of it in terms of the DNA.
So I'm wondering, aren't we going to bypass all of this when we embody the Nomi encryption?
I'm assuming we would.
Because I feel like that's beyond repair. That's probably why, because going in and working with that seems to, like, up to a certain point, it felt like it was salvageable.
Honestly, at this point, I think the host, the Crystal River, the safe, I think it's going to bypass a lot of things.
Yeah.
Because I've been having the same kind of like issues or thinking, especially when it comes to things like shadow body retrieval and all this other kind of stuff, all the quantum related to that. Just because we have the 66% currently in phantom. So it's kind of like, are we going to be losing 2/3 of our quantum from this host, or what's going to be happening with all that, and how is it going to be redirected? And so I would say it's impossible.
So the way I see it is, when we open the Tantian window, right? That's the thing. Like, at least 2-3 things that I picked up is, you kind of recycle your consciousness, what I call it. When you give back all of your, parts of your consciousness which is not repairable, and you pull back whatever your encryption you left behind before you came into the matrix. And there's also quantum boosts that they speak about. So the way I look at it, I get my starter kit back to get working on my system, where I got energy and I got the encryption. Now I just need to kind of plant it in my fascia and let it grow.
Yeah, it's
There's
literally like
another.
just waiting on the freedom seed.
There's a
That's
pretty
what that's coming into.
pretty large element also that she mentioned, and this is one of the original topics in our live stream when I started August 2014 the other day, was that the 2/3 of the green and violet shields are going to be transmuted and healed, but there is 1/3 left for free will. That has a really big ring to it. Now, I'm trying to link that with the current information and see if that's still valid or not, or what's going on. Is there still another path open? Or is, I mean, because she emphasized that that's out of respect for free will. So it seems like that would still be honored. That if there's organisms or consciousness here that's not coherent enough to make the right decision, and you could look at the elemental kingdom on this level, that is not cognitive or have the wherewithal to make the decision or the capacity or the bandwidth, like you said also, it's a word I was looking for, then they're not going to be able to reach it. So they're not going to be forced to reach it. The guardians aren't going to come down and force them to take the host, right? So that's the 1/3 of the shield that's, probably space dust. They're going home the other way, which would be parts of our own cellular composition, parts of our anatomy, the parts of us. And I always look at it like the analogy of the black hole. And when I was little, when I first saw it, it freaked me out. Like you go through a black hole, it's spaghettification, right? It's spaghetti. And it's kind of like you're being stretched. And I look at that like maybe with codes.
Spiritual teachings and
What's that?
now I was saying a lot of gurus and conversations and videos that I watch. It's kind of speaking to the space dust. You're going to become dust, and you're going to be finished, and you're going to be happy.
Yeah. Well, there's Vibhati dust too. There's the rainbow body where you're doing the dust correctly, right? And there's the space dust. So there's different levels of dust, I guess. Stardust, space dust, yeah.
Yeah.
Is this the chart that you were referring to?
Is it on Zoom or where is it?
But I'd like to play some of it. Should be on the perspective stream on the video.
It's a solar free blood. It's just
Not sure if this is it or not.
It is.
It's really interesting though. It flew past me.
It is. I mean, it gives us all the information. It shows us.
Luis, can you show it to me? Just flip the phone. I can't see the which.
Yeah. 1 second.
Are you able to get on the Facebook stream?
No, I'm not able to go on Facebook. Something's wrong with Facebook.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. So go back onto Zoom. How do I get back to Zoom? There we go. So screen share. One multiple participants. Okay, so 100 perspectives. So okay, let's share it now. Is this any better? I'm gonna also mute.
So I'm not sure if this is the chart, Shamim, if you can see that on Zoom. Lewis got it on Zoom. I think you might be muted if you're talking. Maybe she had to step away. This is a fascinating chart. Katie was actually working with this in the last session, the Crucible code. She was called to work with it. Net Earth interface.
It is a beautiful code.
Yeah, it's got a lot there. See, all this completely flew over my head. I had no idea that code was linked to our physical anatomy, the organs and everything. You can make a whole study out of just that.
I'm just trying to get that chart and I'll put it in the Facebook messages.
Oh, Lewis has it on the Zoom here for you to see also.
No, this is not the chart I'm talking about.
Oh, it's
I'll
not?
tell you which one it is. I'll send it. No, but you can go on. This also is interesting.
Oh, I'll go ahead. I'll skim through it and just let me know which chart it is, or
Yeah,
describe it to
yeah.
me. Tell me what it had on it.
Yeah. I got it. It's already, it's on page number 63.
August 2013.
Yes. Let me check if it is August.
Is that the PDF number or the manual number? It's showing text on here.
It's the PDF number.
Oh, okay, let me check.
Is it 2013, is it?
Oh, wait, I'm just sending the image.
I might have it.
I wonder if there's
I
different
don't know, I
versions.
might-
I
I think I
Facebook message.
think someone might have it, maybe.
I just put it up in the Facebook message.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Lewis, can you grab that and then I'll let you do screen share on it.
Yes. Oh wait, I need to stop sharing screen. Sharing. There we go. Save image as. Save. Go back to Zoom. Screen share. Open up the. Actually, I'll go back. File 1, 2, 3. I think that's what I called it.
You cannot put it.
There we go. PNG. Go back to Zoom. Share screen. There we go. Started. Let me see it.
Oh, this is the chart that she has up right now in the Mylar.
There we go. Can you see it okay?
You see it, Shamim?
Yes, I can see it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the one that she has up she's talking about right now. Did you want to expand on this?
No, this is the one, like you asked me how it's connected. You asked me a question.
Okay.
You said something, right? And it's connected to the passage. What was your question?
Oh, let me see. Okay, controlled by Alhambra passages and an autonomic nervous system. So I guess my question is like how, what we were just discussing, like how it applies to all life on here, and the 2/3 and the 1/3 thing. But this is interesting. I'm still looking at it, kind of integrating it. So there's a Lason, passages, spire.
We've got elemental command, and that's bloody old.
Elemental command
Really
control. Wow. There's some big statements here.
Yeah, this
So
one
the-
always stood out to me, and it is
Yeah.
in alignment with the new work from what I see.
This is huge. I mean, if they're like hosting our distorted nervous systems and vagus nerves, that's a lot of support. Cerebrospinal, central. What is cerebrospinal?
That would relate to
Cerebral.
the rectovagal, the central, in like that would be the Sushmana, like they have the same thing in Hinduism, right? Nadis, Sushmana, Ida Pingla. So yeah.
Can you repeat that? I didn't catch any of that. Sorry.
The central vertical tube. Isn't that what it's called in Katara? The Hara line?
Central, okay.
The Hara line, and
Vertical
that's where the
column.
tethering is also happening, right? So I think the cerebrospinal tube is also in the same anatomical location.
Okay. Just gonna scan this
So
over.
is it through this nervous system that they are literally out picturing
Yes.
the fail-safe host through us, then?
Right.
Which would make sense, because if we run the host, we are directly increasing the capacity in which the Earth can host other life forms, so things like elementals and everything else.
When I think of like frequency running through the body, I'm thinking like when I exercise, doing weights, I'm feeling it in my, it's like meridians, right? Like you're increasing your capacity. And meridians are linked to the nervous system?
Yes. This is something called as a Bongan system, neurovascular system.
Neurovascular, that's right.
The smaller level of the neural, but yeah, it's all a continuum.
Do you remember in Sliders, she actually recommended doing certain exercises to actually increase this column? Yeah.
That's been coming up. Sliders 2, waking up the Jari, I think it is. They're dancing around, acting silly and yelling, going through ranges of emotions. I looked at it like they're kind of stimulating the emotional body for clearing and preparing it, because they're going through like anger, like act angry, make angry face, and then it's like, oh, just act goofy, like all these different range, a whole spectrum of emotions that we experience as a human. So they're kind of interfacing with it.
That's why she also suggested about the song called I Am the Voice.
Yeah, very good music on that CD too.
Yeah, that's like, that really spoke to the cells.
Very comforting. Like we played it in Skypod all the time, like to start off the Skypod. All right, this is fascinating. I'm going to continue the stream, so go ahead and mute. Are you able to see the stream on Facebook?
Yes.
You got it?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I'm not able to see the stream on Facebook, but I'll be hopping out in 5 minutes, so you guys just carry on.
Oh, okay. I'll go ahead and play the August 2013.
All right. This is controlled by the Elacean passages and the Elacean vagal sheath spire of Alhambra. So there are aspects that we've been learning of this more esoteric anatomy that directly interface and are the governing imprint that control the functioning of these aspects of known nervous system, of the known anatomy of the nervous system. See. This one, the controlled by Alhambra passages, is also the parasympathetic nervous system and the enteric nervous system. And it's also the biological outpicture of the Alhambra passages. So this part of our nervous system anatomy, the anatomy that's known in 3D, is actually a biological outpicturing of the Alhambra passages code.
Let me catch up with that. Biological outpicturing of Alhambra passages. And that is the autonomic nervous system that she's saying right now. So when and let's go back to like the timelines of current medical research of like when this system came to be. According to this author, it's going back millions of years. Did it talk about the autonomic nervous system? Was that linked?
It spoke, the whole thing is autonomic, right? All of these building blocks come under. Yeah.
Okay, so the vagus nerve is comprised of autonomic.
Three parts, yeah.
Okay.
The vagus, yeah, that's right, yeah.
Biological outpicture of Alhambra passages. Sympathetic. Okay.
So in other words, we need to clear it before it outpictures into our own hologram then.
Yeah. And there is a focus like in our current medical science right now with this study, you know. Yeah. Yeah, it's not as alternative medicine anymore. Like it's getting pretty mainstream. All right, I'll go ahead and continue.
We get to the vagus nerve, the gateway between the autonomic nervous system and the central nervous system. This is the biological outpicturing of the Elacean passage and spiral of Alhambra, and it's associated with the past and with fetal integration process, according to the theory that the beloveds are giving us.
So can we pause for a sec?
Yeah, I wanted to pause it there too. Go ahead.
Yeah, so she said the vagus nerve goes into the, can you say that, what was that, the vagus nerve, what was her statement?
Do you want me to rewind it?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, got it.
There's also the parasympathetic nervous system and the enteric nervous system, and it's also the bile in your body. We get to the vagus nerve, the gateway between the autonomic nervous system and the central nervous system. This is the biological outpicturing.
Yeah. So here, this is my assumption. I need to actually look in. I think when she speaks about the vagus nerve, she's talking specifically about the dorsal and sympathetic. This is my assumption. Because the ventrovagal seems to be the, why does that word not stick? What did she say? It's a gateway between central nervous system.
ANS and CNS.
CNS, yeah. So I'm thinking when we speak about ventrovagal, I'm feeling we're talking about more of central. And when she speaks about vagal, I'm thinking she's specifically speaking about dorsal and sympathetic. That's probably why when she speaks about vagus all the time in the past, it's all spoken of as something to be wary of. Does that resonate?
I'm pulling it up right now. I'm still familiarizing with dorsal here. So let me check it. Let's see.
Wait, go up slightly. Because isn't the first chart, isn't that one of the newest ones that actually came online very recently? Is it sympathetic?
Sympathetic.
There
The
we go.
ventrovagal is what, according to them, it came. Wait, let me just verify what's the connection between the central nervous system and the ventrovagal. Because ventrovagal is relatively new. Even we had a couple of doctors who said that they haven't studied ventrovagal when they were studying in the medical school.
So when was
Wow.
it discovered then? How recently? Didn't it in the book
So
say
the
it was
whole
like
polyvagal
1980s or something?
Meditation.
Yeah, polyvagal theory is actually by Stephen Porges. He's the one who actually introduced the concept, and the Deb Dana is kind of making it more accessible. But yeah, this is really very new, 1990s, and I'm thinking it's quite simultaneous to KS.
Right. Very positively inspired doctors here. Very positively inspired to discover this.
Before that,
Yeah.
we only had the other two, which damn. It kind of goes back into all the distortions that they gave us, though. If you think about it, either turning us into absolute zombies or into absolute emotional messes, like there's no in between.
The nanotech. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably just break it up during the book club, right? And have some more data sorted.
But where would you get the data from? It's like 20 years of work with just KS alone.
No, I'm saying like just to correlate, even with the information I have, I'm not able to correlate it. I need to see them all together and see how they run.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're interweaving it, getting context. All right, I'm going to continue.
Of the Elacean passage and spiral of Alhambra, and it's associated with the past and with fetal integration process, according to the theory that the beloveds are giving us. The central nervous system is associated with future and bardo transition or transfigurative ascension. It's the biological outpicture of Elacean passage and spire of Elasa. So these things that we're seeing in that pretty code that are part of the mathematical configurations and actually field structures that form when they are activated, these are actually we have the biological outpicturing of them as these aspects of things that you can find in an autopsy. They're based.
I've got to rewind it. She's talking fast. Hang on.
Okay.
It's the biological outpicture of a Lacian passage and plasma ray field, host.
All of this is part of our nervous system, so it's something like Lewis was bringing up before that we need. Obviously, there's going to be blockages to feel these big structures around us. Like I can't feel them. I can't feel this mission sphere, the ray, and all these things that she's talking about. But this is where the guardians are literally interfacing with us at. So it implies that there's like a sensitivity level in our current nervous system that needs to be developed to be able to feel this part of it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's where the codes come into place.
Also
isn't it?
includes the
Directly
shield of
interact with these other layers.
Yeah, the codes. Yeah.
Umbra and the seal.
I think it's a cation code in this one, a Lacan power phase code. There's a few of them. Crucible, yeah.
Of the crystal Reyes Alhambra. These were the 5/26/2012 activations, fail-safe activations. So all of these activations we've been doing were all part of this tryptophasic nervous system. Next one, please. Also, aspects of the tryptophasic nervous system that are activating in 2013. This is into the AGE, hydroacoustic body, triptytes encrypted triptytes, which means they have very specific encryptions to carry an electrical mathematical program that then goes into the physical body and creates a series of bioelectric stimulations that create specific chemical interactions with the body. And all of this directs the functions of the physical body. So this is just to show you, some of the diagrams.
And I'm thinking all of this is linked to the Lacan axon bonding. When we started with that one synapse, right? The perception of this, or the feel, the nervous system perception of it, I guess.
That show that interface between. There's no research on the journeys yet.
I'm almost seeing like two timelines because they're doing the little chips inside the body. She's saying to stimulate it, but then there's also organic meditation with it. But there, in Peru, there's even contracts for Christics to bind the Metatronic frequencies that are potentially like trying to interfere with the Christic timeline, I guess. Something like that. You guys familiar with that?
Isn't that
Vaguely.
something
That was
that the
2013?
seed atom would transmute, right?
Say it again.
Isn't that isn't that what the Metatronic seed atom will pretty much get rid of, right? To some degree.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, what's it going to look like is the question for all of us.
I mean, it's hard to tell. Is it just going to be for all the organic implants and everything else that we have in us, all the J seals, everything just slowly just evaporates? Or is it going to be more like...
Yeah. I know.
It'd be lovely if it
Vapor.
did.
She actually mentions that in 2014, August, that it's going to get to a level where our miasms and reversals will be transmuted in vapor. So you may be onto something. I remember her specifically saying that, like vapor. Like you'll be able to interact with it and clear it and transmute it through that level, like this vapor. It's crazy to think about, yeah.
It's kind of like all the work that we did in the freedom teachings is literally all just being packed into one package and brought back into the present.
Yeah. All right, I'll continue.
But the beloved said the journeys apply to this too, where we are doing what you can experience and perceive in the biological body.
I would imagine there's other like theoretical modalities that are doing the same thing, maybe making the same claims. Like, well, there are. She said that there are already healing conditions with it, right? So it's like medically proven. There's something linked to this.
Next one, please. This is how that able to do these, the transfiguration of the cellular structure.
She's not bringing up any type of time scale on this, like there's no, she's just saying if you do this, I mean, it could even be generational. Like once this part of our anatomy comes on, like how long is that going to take?
And this material is exciting, and axons, where normally you'd have the neurotransmitter molecules or chemicals carrying electrical impulse and information from one neuron to another across the synaptic cleft.
All right, I think that's probably all on the vagus nerve that we can cover tonight. It gets really dense. There's just so much of this to put together. So, Shamim, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So,
Can
would
you
you
hear me?
like to have the link to the book club in the description of this video? Or how do you guys
We
meet?
have to
Do you
create it. We have to
Okay.
create it, you, me, and Louis.
Oh, okay. We're going to create it. I didn't know
So let's
that.
come together. I'll probably leave the messages on. I'll leave message. Let's come up with something and let's start.
Okay, that sounds good. So we can just arrange the times and everything from here.
Yeah.
But you have your own club that you're doing right now, your own book club.
I'm only doing it with people who are interested. Like, for example, I have a WhatsApp. Whoever's interested, I don't have a place where I do it. I go to wherever people want it done.
Okay.
And each book club is kind of different compared to, where people are at, either cognitively or time-wise, or some people don't want to do reading, so then I have voice clips. So I'm still working around getting the content through.
Okay.
So
And
we could figure out what we need and we could create something for us.
yeah, that sounds good. And we'll just see how much interest there is in it and kind of go from there.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Lewis formed his group as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you have? Do you want to set a day now, or do you want to just see who's interested in it and just kind of co-create it? and
No,
arrange it?
what I normally like doing is if three of us could put together a Google form with the basic things that we three agree on,
Okay.
and then leave the form out there so that then people can fill in the form, and then we can kind of, based on the time zones, we can pick the time.
That sounds good. All right. Well, thank you for
Yeah.
jumping on with us and going through the book. I plan on reading the whole thing, so it looks really good.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
I'll probably be making side notes to Chismatic series as I go, like little parallels in case.
Yes, as you were doing this, I was actually collecting the art that I did while I was doing this, and I was like, yeah, I want to share it with you guys. So just that, vibrationally and frequency wise, just to kind of share all of these at the same time. I'll put that up later.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and end the stream here. Thank you guys for joining.
Yes.
Anybody?
Thank you so much, Louis. Thank you, Christopher.
Thank you.
Anyone interested, just contact myself or Lewis or Shamim. That's okay for them to contact you as well?
Yes, that's fine. That's
Okay.
fine. Yeah.
All right. We'll go from there. All right. Have a good
All
evening,
right.
guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, you too. Take care.
Bye-bye.